All right, all right, all right. All right, so welcome back to Aha Moments. We're talking about things that make you go, aha, aha. All right, and so we have a very, very special guest with us today. Her name is Maddie. She is from PRS, which is Property Revival Specialist. You can check them out at buysellsolve.com. That's BUYSELLSOLVE.com. So buy, sell, solve.com. And you can reach out to her. Also, you can check her out on Instagram anytime. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you guys content because you guys have been asking, about some more content. And from those of you from TikTok, you know that we have about 7 million views on TikTok. And so we just want to make sure that we are helping you guys out any way we can. Hopefully something is said here today that you can take with you and on your journey, because what we're trying to do is we really want to help people have as many properties as possible. And that's one thing that we teach. We teach ownership, holding, keeping, renting out, making money from it. But we're also going to talk about a component that Maddie is very, very apt at, or she has a really good amount of knowledge in. It's what we would call wholesaling. Okay. And so there are some cases where, hey, how about you just want to make a quick 10,000, a quick 15,000, a quick 20,000? And what does that even look like? What does that even mean? Because most people, what they think about is they think of like buying and flipping. Yeah, that's one route you can go. That does take a lot of work and a lot of things you have to do. Or I know a lot of people get their real estate license and they just want to sell houses and help people buy houses, and that's another thing you can do. But like we usually teach is you want to buy, you want to hold, and you want to rent out so that you're making income from that rental property. But what if you just want to make a quick 10, 15,000? You can do it with real estate. You can do it with maybe even flipping. Or there's this thing called wholesaling, which Maddie's going to kind of talk to us about. So first of all, how are you doing today, Maddie?
Doing well. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Excited. This is my first real podcast, so just want to be here, add value where I can, and ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. All right. So Maddie, just to introduce yourself, to tell the people how they can get in touch with you, find you, follow you, like, share, subscribe, whatever you got going on.
So I can be found on Instagram. My tag is LadyBoss8K. Also am on Facebook at Madeline Kuchar. However, my predominant source of social media would be Instagram. That is, where message me and then I would definitely be in touch. But what I do is I work with a team. We wholesale and flip land as well as single family homes in the Texas and Arizona markets. So what we do is we purchase homes and land for cash. We close quickly, and we are really just there as a resource. We want to help others. We understand that people come into situations that sometimes are unplanned, and we need a solution. So essentially, I like to look at myself as a solution specialist. So if you would like to reach me, please, Instagram, it would be the best way.
Perfect. All right. And so now here's the thing, I'll be honest, I never actually heard of wholesaling up until maybe, I don't know, this year. I didn't even know this was something that was even possible. So to the audience out there, to the people, can you explain what does it mean to wholesale a property?
So what it means to wholesale a property is when you come upon something that is off market, one, and under market value. So a lot of investors that I come across they don't want the property that's marketed, because at this point those sellers want retail value, and with the way that the market is right now, everybody wants a quick buck. So they're pretty much putting their houses up for sale at top dollar, where if you're an investor, you're looking to profit off of this essentially. So what I do is I find people who essentially may have a distressed property where the property may need a little bit of love, so to say. Go in there, you can remodel, flip, And essentially, yeah, that's what I do is find properties, land as well, at discounted prices.
Oh, cool, cool. And so I know you mentioned that you find people who have like distressed properties. Like how do you find these people? Like are they kind of just fall in your lap? Do you just or do you kind of have a process of kind of finding distressed properties or people who have
Absolutely.
them?
Absolutely. And that is one thing that I have actually learned with this business as well is systems and processes must be in place because this really is a rinse and repeat business where when you figure out, your steps, you really can, we're repeating, but we call that, when you find your properties, quote unquote, marketing. So there's actually, there's multiple different ways to market properties. One, you're driving through your neighborhood, you're driving for dollars. Essentially, you're looking through and you're pretty much going to your backyard and you're looking to see, is there a property, is there grass overgrown, windows boarded up, the signs of distress, essentially.
Wow.
Also, there are platforms where you can go and pull lists. One that I've definitely used, it's called PropStream. There's probably
Mhm.
about 15 different tabs you can sift through, one being expired listings, failed listings, people who are going into foreclosure, where they're in a situation where either the bank's going to take my money and I might be out of a place to live. And that's where I come in and I give you cash to help you pay off that balance and also leave you a little bit of money left in your pocket as well.
Okay. Wow. So wait, so okay, so real quick question then. Once let's say someone finds a distressed property, how do they
Mhm.
get in touch with the person who owns it? Like, is
Mm.
are there situations that you've been in where you find a distressed property, but you cannot find someone to talk to about it?
Sure, that's a good question. Well, I've learned that there's actually skip tracing platforms where with the site that I use with the site that I use PropStream, you have the ability to go through those properties and add them to a list. Skip trace then saves your saved properties in a saved properties. Then you then have the ability to with the site skip trace those numbers where when you skip trace you get addresses, you get phone numbers, and not just one phone number. We're probably talking 5 or 6 phone numbers that have some sort of relation to this person, so we believe, or so this site that's taken my information that I've given to them and has come up with. There's multiple different services that you can use to skip trace. Skip matrix, I use PropStream. Bunny skip is another really good platform. But you also sometimes there's occasions where people saying sell my house on Facebook Marketplace, they're going to leave you their information. Or you go
Mm,
to Zillow, Craigslist, I'm just looking to sell my house, they're going to leave you a phone number. That's perfect, then you have the right person that you're trying to get in touch with. So,
mm,
there's definitely different ways. It's not just because you come upon an address doesn't mean you're not going to find the person. And I'm not going to say that every time it's going to be a direct hit.
mhm, mhm.
You may run through the numbers that you have, and you might have to go to a different service.
Right. Okay. Now, you also mentioned that when you talk to them, that you will let them know that you're going to give them cash.
Mhm.
So where's this cash coming from? I mean, is it just like, are I guess with your company, do you guys have like reserves that you use
Mhm.
so you kind of buy and then sell? Or is it
Mhm.
that you are finding an investor, a direct investor, and then they're buying it with an agreement, and then you just kind of take whatever profit from the retail that maybe you do? Or is it that I don't know, that you guys use like loans, line of credit, grant? I don't know. So where's that money coming from in order to purchase once you reach out to that owner of the distressed property?
Sure. So when I first began wholesaling, what I did was I would take a property, I would put it under contract, and when getting paid in wholesaling, what you get put, it's called an assignment fee. Like that's pretty much your payment. So say for example, I get a property, I put it under contract for $140,000. At this point, I did not have the buyer. I would take that property, I'd put it under contract for $130,000 and say I want a $10,000 assignment fee. I'm going to then market to that investor buyer that I'm looking for $140,000. And then you take that 10K, that's your profit. And then also with, I've recently, began working with a team. So when I was doing that by myself, that is what I was doing is I'd put the property under contract, go find a buyer. Well, right now we do have cash reserves where if we would have to close on a property prior to bringing it to a buyer, a new buyer, we could do that. That's on the single family side. However, on the land side, what I do is a different. I do a reverse wholesaling. So I market to my buyers first. I go get my buyers' buying criteria, get a better understanding of what are you looking for, and then, once I get an idea of what areas they're looking to purchase and what they're trying to purchase, then it's easier for me to go find something that they're looking for.
Okay. That's key. That's awesome. So wait, how long were you said that you were wholesaling by yourself before you got with the team? How long were you doing that before you got with the team?
So I started wholesaling at seriously in March. And it's now literally September. And so I've been working with the team now for a month now. Started at the beginning. Yeah. Started at the beginning of July.
Nice. Well, that's huge. Okay. So I had a follow-up question. Now you said something about, putting the property under contract. What does that actually mean? I mean, so let's say I went and I found, someone who has a property and they're willing to sell it for whatever amount. I tell them that they want to sell it for, and then I put it under contract. I'm under contract with them. What does that mean? Does that mean that I have to come up with that money or an investor within like a certain period of time, or like what is that? What does it mean to be under contract?
Okay, so when you put a property under contract, at this point, means you have an interest in the property. In order to get an interest in the property, we need to put some earnest money down. So when you put the earnest money down, that means that's pretty much a good faith deposit. I have, I'm gonna purchase this property from you. Usually that money is non-refundable, so you're not getting it back. So sometimes, when people are asking $5K for earnest money, typically I don't want to lose out on that $5K. I'm probably going to purchase that. So when in that contract, it also says a date as to when I'm going to close on that property. Close as mean the possession of property now transfers not to me, but to a buyer. And that is me putting the property under contract and then assigning it to an end buyer. So pretty much I have some interest in it as well. Just with the intention of I'm not closing on it. I'm finding a property for somebody else.
Wow. Okay. Wow, this is really interesting. I mean, I'm saying aha in my mind a couple of times here. Aha. That is really, really interesting. Wow. So you put five, so basically when you were doing it by yourself, you just brought 5K to the table, and then and then you have that close date. Usually, typically, how far out is that close date? I mean, are we talking like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month?
So I want to say between 7 to 30 days max. It can be 7 at the quickest. Sometimes it may take 30 days because at the end of the day, you have to transfer title. So we have to send title into the title company so that we can make sure that title's free and clear. Nothing's owed on that property. There's no liens against that property. Essentially, hey, they didn't pay their taxes. Okay, then the county's going to put a tax. They're going to put a tax in on that property saying these people owe owe me money. So, when we go and we send the property in for that title search, that's what the title company is researching. They're giving that information to us. If it's something that is owed, like the seller would owe, we're going to take that money out of how much we're going to give them, because that has to get paid down. Those liens have to get taken care of so that I can take a clean title to an end buyer.
Mm. And so would you have the investors take care of anything that's owed or liened on it, or how would that work? Or you just kind of you basically, you don't want to deal with properties that have the liens and what's owed, right?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Some people are going to be like, I don't want to deal with that at all. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes when you can bring attorneys into it, or, at the end of the day, say the liens may be too much, then yeah, you might want to get out. But I feel like sometimes that might be it might be copping your way out. At the end of the day, like, the money's going to have to get paid some way or another. Like, okay, so we're just going to take that out of what we're going to pay you, either like you take that or leave it, essentially.
Wow. Interesting stuff. Ah-Hah, ah-Hah. All right. So, okay. Now, okay. So I have a couple of other questions. I'm just going to pivot here a little bit.
Okay.
But now one thing that we do talk about on Ah-Hah moments is we talk to a lot of people who actually are like business owners and entrepreneurs. Do you currently have like any type of business set up right now, or you kind of just you're working under contract with this company, or 1099 W2? Where are you at on that?
Okay, so I did sign, a contract with them. It would be, 1099 with this company. I do have an LLC though. So what we're going to do is, they'll pay my LLC, because here's the thing, I still do work corporate America. I am a licensed realtor in Arizona. I work for a builder developer. So, there is, something that I'm bringing to the table with this new company is, I have an idea about the Arizona market. However, just like with the corporate America side of things, I don't necessarily believe that that's where I want to be forever. I'm kind of just understanding, especially like with this company that I'm at right now, I'm not loving it. And especially, now for something to fall in my lap where, it's an investor side of things, I'm actually getting hands-on training, real life training about what this investment side of real estate is all about, something that I'm really hungry to learn. So for me, the 1099, it is fine, because I'll take knowledge is power, and if I'll take that over money right now, a little bit
Oh
less
yeah.
money right now.
Oh yeah, and you don't, you're preaching to the choir, young. Like you're preaching to the choir. Like 1099 contracting that allows you to be independent. It allows you to be self-employed. Now, I hope everyone caught that. That's in the audience. Now, she could be a 1099, and she would still have to pay taxes. So, guy, I want the audience to understand that everything comes down to is you paying taxes, because how does the government look at you? The government looks at you through your social security number, and the only way they can really track your social security number is by what taxes that either you pay or don't pay. If you're not paying taxes, they're going to ask some questions. If you are paying taxes, and you're making a certain amount of money, and I let people know, if you're not making more than 250,000 a year, you're not even on radar of the IRS to audit you, right? But you definitely want to understand everything's about taxes, right? So Maddie so she could be just a 1099 contractor and file her taxes as self-employed, but she chooses to file them as an LLC. And one thing that we try to emphasize people to understand is that when you have an LLC or a corporation, at that point you can write off a lot of different expenses and things like that. So Maddie, do you have like is that on your radar right now, or is that one of the, I don't know if that was one of the reasons why you started an LLC, but have you thought about those different things, and do you have like a tax account that works with you or anything like that, or how, is that kind of on your radar right now?
No, yeah, it absolutely is, so I've actually had the LLC. I've been sitting on it for over a year now, where, I was doing a little bit of like that e-commerce, marketing, didn't really love that. And then, like I said, I came into real estate the beginning of this year. And so, as I get further into, we're cashing checks, I'm going to have to file taxes. It's something that I've actually actively been looking into. I know that I'm going to need a CPA. I understand that there are write-offs with, this, and it is not something that I know too terribly much about, so I don't feel the most comfortable probably really speaking on it. But yes, it is something, at this point, with business getting way more serious, that I understand that we got to start looking into that, because the government's going to take as much as they can, if they can.
Yeah, completely understand. Now, usually into the second act or the second portion of my interviews, I start talking about success principles. Now, just so the audience knows, now my mom taught me not to reveal a lady's age, but I will say that Maddie is she's a young lady. Now, even at your young age, I would consider you to be fairly successful. What would you say are some success principles that kind of, that you use, or that or that you think is important for people to understand? Because I do come across a lot of people who say things like, I want to have an LLC, I want to start a business, I want to buy real estate, I want to do all these different things. And then 3 months later, I check in on them. I'm like, hey, how did it go? And they're like, well, blah, 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 blah. So, success principles in my opinion, they're interchangeable depending on what you're trying to do. The same success principles are in relationships, in business, in education, sports, whatever. What success principles would you say that you use on a regular basis, and how have you used them to get to where you're at now?
Absolutely. And so I do just want to forewarn you that success principles do not just show up overnight. It is something that you must show up every single day and take accountability for. And so one thing that, for me, number one, consistency. Show up every single day, because one day, you're super motivated. Day two, you're super motivated, and then your feelings kick in, and your feelings say, I don't want to do this today, so I'm just not going to do it. And those are the times where the discipline is supposed to kick in, and you have to show up and you have to do it, because what you're doing 30 days from now is going to show up 90 days from now. And so success principles for me would definitely be 1 and 2 are consistency and being disciplined to show up. Because here's the thing, this is for the betterment of me. This is for, like, I'm doing this not for anybody else, but for me. And the other two would be trust, the integrity side of it. I want to do good business. I don't want to be the person who looks kind of like scamish, or I don't want to be that. I'm here because I want to help others. I'm here because I love people. You know what I'm saying? I love that human interaction. And if I can just add value to somebody without, like, I'm not looking for anything in return, but those are the things that, like, I know I'm put here for. I'm here to help others. And so that's it for me.
Wow. Yeah, and it's let me cover a couple other things, and I'm gonna bring up a story. But yeah, consistency, 100% discipline. I was watching something the other day. Maybe you saw it too. I was on TikTok, so maybe you saw it. But there was this video. They're saying that as I saw it 3 different times from 3 different people say the same thing, that motivation only goes so far. It's not about being motivated, because you can be motivated one moment, unmotivated the next moment. To your point, it is about discipline. It's about having a routine. It's about building habits, because there will be days where you don't feel like doing it, and your habit, because you do it all the time. Like, I'll give you an example. My mom, oh my goodness, my mom she's 68, but if you saw her, she kind of looks like she could be past for maybe 50. She's almost 70. It's amazing. But every day, my whole life, I saw her get up in the morning and work out. She never misses a workout. And that's a routine that she does. That's a habit that she's built, where she just does it all the time. And that's why she's so healthy. It's amazing. That's the discipline. Because sometimes people can do things in short spurts, but you kind of want to make it a lifestyle. Because if, like you said to your next point about, you kind of said, you didn't, I don't think you used this word, but I wrote down purpose, right? Because you said, what you're put on this earth to do. And that's another thing I noticed. A lot of people just don't know what their purpose is. And I would say this to the audience. It's not easy to find out your purpose, but two things that might help. Number one, look at your passion and look at your talents. Passion is basically things that you would do whether you got paid for it or not. That's how you know it's your passion. And then your talent is a skill set that you've built over time. If anyone has ever said something like this to you, oh, I wish I can do that. That's how you know that that's your talent. So look at your talent, look at your passion, and then I think if you can find a way in the middle there, that's you will find out what your purpose is. Okay. And then the other thing you said about trust and integrity, to the audience, me and Maddie, I came across this deal from a client. I'm not going to say who. And then I asked Maddie about it. Maddie was like, the price should probably be this. And it's so funny because I knew the guy was trying to upsell, and I was just like, and I went back and forth with him a couple of times, and I was like, you know what, man, I don't know if I can do a deal with you, because the trust wasn't there, the integrity wasn't there. After I kind of challenged him on a couple of things, he was still trying to sell me on, anyway. But either way, yes, really key is trust, integrity, honesty, especially in business. That is a really big key. So we're kind of coming up here. Any last things that maybe you want to say to the audience, or anything you want to promote or anything like that?
Well, I just want to say, one, thank you again, for having me. I am, I'm in the beginning, stages of this, but my thing is, when you continue, like I said, just show up every day. You're going to fail, but be the type of person that doesn't just successful people are ones who've dealt with the mistakes and continued to learn from them. So that's just one thing that I feel like I realize is I'm going to be successful due to the fact that I'm making mistakes, but I'm learning from my mistakes. And, I'm still pressing forward every single day. So if I could just say one thing, just don't give up, keep pushing, get up every single day, and just know that I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be successful.
Oh my goodness. It's so funny. I used to do a lot of music recording, and I made this song called Mistakes. It's the chorus is, don't be afraid to make a mistake, just learn from mistakes, and learn from mistakes and then make new mistakes, right? Don't be making the same mistakes over and over. But learn from the mistakes you made, and then make new mistakes, because you're right. That's how we learn, is by making mistakes. Kanye West said this the other day. He said he doesn't shoot for perfection. He shoots for, just doing the work, being consistent,
1% every day.
Yeah, and then making those mistakes, because you learn more from the mistakes than when you do things perfectly all the time. And that's when our minds atrophy and things like that. So that's huge. So I think I'm gonna drop that song right now. All right, we're doing that in post. All right, so last couple questions, actually, as you were talking, because like I said, you're a fairly young person, and I would say you're okay. I'm not going to give away your age unless you want to tell me what you want to tell the audience, what generation you're from. But I asked this to a couple of people that I interviewed. How important would you say mentorship is, and or do you have a mentor? I guess is the first question.
Oh my gosh, yes. So here's the thing. I have come to the conclusion that not only can I not do this by myself, but I don't want to. One thing that I really love is the idea of team, because when you have a team, you have people who are strong here, but maybe weak here. And that person is going to be strong where you're weak, and they're going to be able to carry that weight for you. But here's the thing, you have to be able to, not everybody like, just because you're a team doesn't mean that chemistry and that mesh is there. You know, my version of team is people who they know what they bring to the table, and they show up to their seat with what they said that they're going to do. And so for me, what I have found is a mentor. One,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I researched, like, I didn't just get into wholesaling and just like do the whole fly by night thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I did all this research by myself. However, like, you're still going to make mistakes. So if you can get a mentor and, bypass some of those mistakes a little bit, just to kind of like, push you forward a little bit quicker, I highly recommend it. Like, I've spent $7,000, to be honest with you, on mentorship, just to find
Mm.
somebody actually who isn't even charging me, but just can see, some of the character, like the qualities that I can bring. So
My
it's
goodness.
funny, how the universe, works. But at the end of the day, from each mentors, I took away something. So for that, I'm grateful. You got to
Oh my
spend money to
goodness.
make money.
Oh my goodness. You know what's crazy? And we're kind of we're wrapping up here a little bit, but you just said you spent $7,000 on mentorship and learning and growing, and that's what I would say. That's what I would call personal development. I think that 7,000 is an investment. I think the number one thing, because we talk about, a lot of you guys know that my main thing is I talk about portfolios and having properties and where to put your money to grow for and all those taxes and things like that. But your number one asset in your portfolio is you. It's
Mm-hmm.
yourself. And so you have to invest. If you're going to invest in other things like your savings account, properties, stocks, whatever, crypto, whatever, why not invest in yourself too? Because you can spend money on a lot of different things. And as you're saying that, I thought about a client that I had, and oh my goodness, this lady spent $5,000 to make a single song. And you know, who knows? Maybe the song will blow up. I don't know. But I mean, I wouldn't, you spent 7,000 improving yourself. This person spent 5,000 on one song, not an album, one song. And, it's a mindset. I don't want to,
And
because
can
if
I
the,
can I say
yeah,
something?
go
Where
ahead.
5K of it went is the mindset, like the mindfulness coaches, the life coaches. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, it's a mindset shift. That I'm really feel like I'm undergoing is like a transformation of the mind. Like, there are limiting beliefs that I have that I'm working towards unlearning, you know? And so that's what I'm saying. If you can just keep your mind healthy and you work on your mind, and you feed that goodness, or yeah, and then the rest, yeah, I did spend $2,000 to learn real estate. And
Nice.
here's the thing, I'm beginning to see the fruits of that. So
Nice.
everything, it's a continuation. It never stops. You're always learning, always this student. And at this point, I never loved school. School was hard for me. So I'm just, at this point, I look at myself, I'm just a student of life. I'm learning how to do this, but also I want to be happy. I don't want to just get up and my life is just autopilot. We get one shot at it, and I want to be happy. I want to enjoy my time here. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. You know what? Aha. This has been aha moments. And to the last thing you just said, guys, you can only invest three things. You can invest time, you can invest money, and you can invest energy. All right. Every time you spend time, money, and energy on something, I want you guys to think to yourself, what is going to be my return? Is it going to be monetary? Is it going to be knowledge? Is it going to be, love? Whatever it is, start thinking about where you're spending your time, money, and energy. And if you're not getting a return on it, I will say to you, think about getting a return on things that you spend your money on. All right. So this has been great. Maddie is a very busy person. She actually has to get going. This has been Aha Moments again. If you want to check out Maddie, just go to her handle in Instagram, and that is LadyBoss8K. Go ahead and give her a follow, give her a couple of likes. follow her story as she's building and growing her business. Also, go ahead and check out her website, buysellsolve.com, a property revival specialist. Book a meeting with them if you want to learn more about the things that they do. And this has been Aha Moments. And thank you so much, Maddie, for being on this podcast. Any very last words? I'll give you 1 more seconds. I know you got to get going.
I just want to say thank you, my friend. I appreciate you for, like, we randomly met one day, on a Clubhouse, and to kind of just see this, partnership just evolve. I'm thankful for that. And I wish you the best. And, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up here. If you check us out on YouTube, that is OSOM Multimedia. So that's OSOM Multimedia. You can also, if you go to our YouTube, like, share, subscribe, hit the little bell at the bottom for the notifications. Let's help beat internet censorship, basically, because the YouTube has a certain algorithm, and we just want to make sure that we can continue giving you guys great content. Check me up on Clubhouse. Even Maddie's actually on Clubhouse as well. Also, we have if you like what what you're hearing and you want to learn more and you want to help support us, go to our Patreon. It's patreon.com OSOM Intangibles. You can go to our website, OSOM Intangibles, OSOM Intangibles. Find us on Instagram, OSOM_Intangibles_INC. Follow us for more. And you guys have been great. Maddie, you've been great. And I am out.
See you later.